What's up, everyone? You ever wonder how much it costs to afford a $499,000 house? Well, in this video, I'm going to go into details, and what budget plan you should go with it so you can possibly afford this house. And I'll do a little bit of breakdown so you understand a little bit more. So let's get into this.
You move out of your home because everything's falling apart. Here's how you buy a new house. You dump your cash and check your bank account, but barely have enough. So you rush to the bank for a mortgage, which is a loan to buy a home. They see your high credit score and agree to cover 80% of the cost if you put down 20%. But you don't have that. Are you a first-time buyer? Yes. So they instead offer you an FHA loan, which only requires 3 to 5% down. Perfect.
This is a house you can find in Houston, Texas. About $499,000. They dropped the price. So what does it entail? And let's go into this video. Beyond the listing price, the down payment and the loan is the first thing you need to worry about. So what is a down payment? Down payment is actually what you put down on the house so you can afford it, so you can avoid pay PMI. Now I'm gonna put the definition of a down payment on the screen so you can get the full definition. But down payment is an initial sum of money that a buyer pays up front when purchasing a significant item, such as a house or a car. So typically represent for a percentage of the total. And I tell you, for a home, put down 20% so you can avoid paying PMI. And I'll go into PMI later. But what does it look like for a $499,000 house, the down payment? So 20% would look like $99,800 for a down payment for a $499,000 house. And let's go into it a little bit deeper for the budget wise. So you need to figure out how much it's going to cost you for the $499,000 house. So you need to look at utilities. You need to figure out what type of loan you want. FHA, VA, or conventional. And these all have different impacts. If you do a VA loan and you're 100% disabled veteran, you get to avoid a bunch of the fees and taxes, but not as many people think qualify for the VA loan because you have to be a veteran. So the most common is conventional loan, where the impact and the difference from an FHA loan, I'm going to put it on the screen, the difference between those two, but it's not that terribly different. Usually how I see is FHA is used for someone that has bad credit, and conventional loans is usually cheaper on the interest rate.
The difference between FHA and conventional is a common question I get from first-time home buyers. A lot of first-time home buyers utilize an FHA loan. The thing about an FHA loan is it's got a low down payment. You can have a challenged credit, and FHA isn't going to be as stringent on their credit requirements. And they're also going to be more flexible with debt to income ratio. So if you've got some debts, if you've got a credit score that's not as high as you'd like it to be, an FHA loan might be the best fit for you. Conventional, for first-time home buyers, also offers low down payments. You can do 3% down on a conventional loan and be just fine. On conventional, they're going to be more strict about credit. If you've got a worse credit score, you're going to get a higher mortgage insurance premium. If you've got a worse credit score, your rate is going to be affected more than it would be on an FHA loan. So like I tell all buyers, go out there.
So that's what I sum it up to. It could be more to it. And this is where, when you do your due diligence, research which one would be best for you. I used the VA loan. Now, let's talk about why I want you to put 20% down. It's because of PMI insurance, and that is what you pay towards the bank for you to get the loan. And how much is PMI on a $499,000 house? Depends on your credit score. And the lowest I see on PMI is like 4.6, and it could range to 1.50%. And that's depending on your credit score. Now, that 20% makes a big difference. So what are prepaid costs at closing? So prepaid costs up front, payments are made. Closing off for future expenses like property taxes and homeowner insurance. So lenders often require buyers to prepaid portion of annual property taxes and typically buyers had to pay the first year premium at closing. Now,
So closing costs are going to be your third-party fees, your lending fees to get the loan, your title insurance, your title closing fee, your recording fees, your taxes and insurance. So all the fees that are required upfront to get the loan. So you have a total amount in Colorado Springs average.
so you're gonna have to pay a good chunk of your money. So this is what you need to know whenever you're buying your house. So while these costs can be significant, timing matters. If you're close to the end of the year, you might only owe several months, but if you're up for upfront, but if you're at the beginning of the year, you have to pay more. And then local tax rate varies depending in places like in Texas, where property taxes can be higher, sometimes over 2% of the home value. And then insurance premium depend on home location size and risk factor, like flood zones. So the annual premium can range to hundreds to thousands of dollars. And that's what you need to know at the closing is you're gonna have to pay the often overlooked part of property taxes homeowner. And then the last thing you need a budget for pre-move-in repairs and upgrades. Yes, that can cost you any amount of money. I'm putting this in the closing and deal so you understand there's fees associated to this. That before you move in, there might be a house or a leak in the roof. You have to fix the fence. You have to change out the granite candles. Stuff like that happens whenever you purchase a house. Now, let's go into the monthly reality, mortgage, tax, and insurance. Now, calculate your estimate monthly principal and interest rate for your $499,000 loan. And the other thing you have to do is de-systemize property tax, how they assess and the real impact to your budget is, and the crucial role of homeowner insurance and potential vary in costs. So I did the breakdown for y'all. So on Zillow, so for $499,000, after you put your 20% down, it's going to come out to be a monthly payment of $4,110. And this is $2,393 for principal and interest. Property tax is going to be $665. Homeowner insurance is going to be $166 a month. And HOA is $100. Now, I did put utilities in there so you can see the overall, so it can help with our budget. And it's $786. And what I did was I did a search on the average cost for this size house for the utilities. And it told me in this area about $150 a month for water and sewer. Gas is about $185. Internet's about $100, and electric's about $351 a month. And this is the total breakdown that you need to do before you purchase your house so you can understand what's the real cost. So $4,110. If you do the 50, 20, 10, 50, 30, 20, 10, whatever route you choose, just know 50% is going to go into your household expense, utilities, and that's just where it comes out. So you roughly need to make $8,220 to afford this house if you follow that rule. So that's roughly about $10,000 salary a month, or $10,000 a month to afford this house comfortably. That's the breakdown of your monthly expense for that house. But I already did the math for you. What you have to do is search it up, Google, and find out what's the cost of the area. So let's go into the next part, owning your home, ongoing and unexpected cost. So some of the stuff is going to be unexpected and ongoing. You're not going to really know the cost. You can look it up, Google it, but the cost of utilities, electric, water, gas, and internet and trash, that can change year over year. So that's really unexpected. So make sure you do your due diligence before you buy the house, because that all can change any amount of time. Now, what you also need to do is prepare for home maintenance from routine upkeep to major system replacement. So this is what you need to understand, that usually it costs about 2% of your home cost a year for maintenance. And this is for routine and major system replacement. So you have to understand that. And there is some unforeseen expenses like HOA fee increase in some years, pest control, and landscaping if you can't handle it. So that's some of the expenses you have to look up. Now, let's talk about the true cost, your monthly income, and lifestyle impact. So when you tally up, this is how much it reveals. You need to make $4,811. So you need to make about $8,220. And what does that roughly mean you have to make a month? To afford this $499,000 house, you roughly need to make about $10,000 to $11,000 a month, depending on your tax situation. So remember, this is your take-home pay. You need to make $8,220 if you want to follow the 50-30-20-10 rule. Means 50% of your expenses go into your house. About $10,000, $11,000 a month to comfortably afford this house. You are going to have a lifestyle adjustment whenever you move into this style house. Yes, you might be able to afford it, but if you follow the 70-30 rule or 70-20-10 rule and you put majority in your house, you have to understand that it could lead you into major trouble because HOA goes up, taxes go up, anything can happen. So this monthly income is going to be very hard for most people to attain unless you have a dual income. But a single person, in Texas, a $499,000 house is affordable if they do the 20% rule. And you have to make about $120,000 a year to afford it. So that's the true cost of the monthly income you need for this $499,000 house. Now, and I'm not including your lifestyle, your purchases. This is just straight how much the mortgage is going to cost and how much you have to make. So, like and subscribe to my video, and that's all I got for you.